Now at 6 o'clock, measles cases on the rise all across the country. We're hearing from a local pediatrician regarding the best way to stop the spread.
And tomorrow, protesters are expected to fill Pioneer Courthouse Square for International Workers' Day. What you need to know.
Did you know today is National Therapy Dog Day? So yes, we're going to add a little cuteness to the Sunrise Show this morning. If you're traveling through the airport, you can actually see some of these pups from the Dove Lewis Canine Therapy Team while you're there. The details coming up as we kick off the 6 o'clock hour of Sunrise.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Wednesday here. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Chris McGinnis and Rod Hill also standing by here at the top of the hour with our look at weather and traffic.
First time we'll have to keep those therapy dogs away from the trees in the airport for obvious reasons. Never had the trees in the airport before. Here's a look at our Wells Fargo camera. Downtown Portland waking up to clear skies. The sun is now up, waiting for it to bounce up over the Cascades. Early morning number is down to 42 degrees. So it's a pretty chilly start. A lot of you are actually in the 30s this morning, but this will be a lovely day coming up. 58 degrees at noon, and the warm up this afternoon taking us to 73. Here's Chris.
Rod, thanks for that. We pick it up with a traffic alert on the east side. I-205 southbound. We've got a crash just south of Airport Way. There is a little bit of local slowing now getting around that. You can see Portland police on the scene. Can't quite tell exactly what's going on there, but the right shoulder and one of the lanes coming off of Airport Way onto 205 south appears to be blocked. So you can see something slowing up the drive just a little bit there. Otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. I-5 through Wilsonville, that looks good. The rest of the freeway system in good shape. A reminder once again this week and all next week, the TriMet Blue Line Max improvements from Burnside continuing this week. And that means shuttles are running from Gateway to Gresham all this week on the Max Blue Line. So expect some light delays. Guys?
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 6 o'clock. Measles cases on the rise across the U.S. Now, Texas has seen the most cases so far this year, but Washington is also part of the story with 5 reported cases in the state.
The CDC says the best way to prevent the spread of the illness is through vaccines. Sunrise reporter Ashley Graham joins us in the studio with more on this. Good morning, Ashley.
Yeah, good morning. We talked with a doctor here in Portland. He's encouraging people to get the MMR vaccine to prevent the measles. He says the number of cases across the U.S. is alarming, adding the country hasn't seen a spike like this in over a decade. As of Friday, 29 states have reported 884 confirmed measles cases and 3 deaths. That includes 5 cases in Washington, but none in Southwest Washington. And so far, no confirmed cases in Oregon in 2025.
The flu can infect on average 3 other people if you get the flu. Measles can infect 20 other people if you get measles. In history, the reason we invented these vaccines is to prevent children from dying and having serious problems, and to see them come back is really terrifying.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has recently suggested alternative treatments, including vitamin A. While the CDC says vitamin A is not a substitute for vaccination, their updated recommendation says instead it's a method of managing the illness, particularly for children who are hospitalized and overseen by a doctor. The overuse of vitamin A can lead to toxicity and cause damage to the liver, bones, and central nervous system. The doctor we talked with says he wants parents to feel comfortable and confident that they can make the best decision for their family, and suggests reaching out to your doctor to learn more.
Ashley, thank you for that. And this morning, we're also learning how cuts in federal spending could have an impact on local foster children.
The Department of Justice recently terminated hundreds of grants, including a couple for a group that supports foster kids in the courtroom. We're talking about court-appointed special advocates, also known as CASAs. They serve a critical role for children who have experienced abuse or neglect. The Department of Justice terminated federal funding to the national CASA program, saying it, quote, no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities. The executive director for CASA in Multnomah County says while the program she runs here locally isn't relying on federal funds for this year's budget, other CASA chapters in Oregon and around the country do.
They need advocacy. They need support. They need to have an advocate show up in the courtroom for them, and that's what we do. It is a deeply embedded practice for our judges to respect and trust CASAs, and that comes because we make a difference to those kids in foster care.
So here locally, CASA is pushing for Oregon lawmakers to pass 2 bills during the current session, including one that would replace lost federal funding for crime victims.
Yesterday, President Donald Trump marked his first 100 days in office.
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years. We're ending the inflation nightmare, the worst that we've had.
The president also calling his tariffs a way to stop the job stealing of other countries, especially China. The administration did announce a way to soften the impact on tariffs on vehicles and car parts. Those 25% tariffs will stay in place, but they'll be modified so that they're not stacked with other levies like those on steel and aluminum.
Some local church leaders and community groups are part of a federal lawsuit against the Trump administration. They want to bring back a policy that protects people from immigration raids in locations that include churches, schools, and hospitals. Augustana Lutheran Church in Northeast Portland is among the plaintiffs.
You have to restructure your whole sanctuary, our two buildings. So staff meetings, training congregation. We have many immigrants in our congregation. You have to change how you open doors and lock them. You have to change signage.
And I've said this 1,000 times. When you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien from ICE, you will be prosecuted, judge or not.
That was U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan there. Homeland Security says the White House rescinded the policy that protected people in places like churches earlier this year because it, quote, gives law enforcement the ability to do their jobs. All right, let's take a live look now at Pioneer Courthouse Square this morning because workers are set to protest there tomorrow as part of International Workers' Day, also known as May Day. The event at the square is scheduled from 4:30 to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Speakers representing labor unions and advocacy groups are expected to address issues like workers' rights, immigration, and access to public programs. There's a similar protest happening tomorrow in Vancouver as well from noon to 2 p.m. at Esther Short Park.
Some furry friends that trained at the Oregon State Correctional Institution are now home with their new owners. This week, the Joys of Living Assistance Dogs program held a graduation ceremony to hand off leashes to people in need of service dogs. The program has adults in custody train the dogs to become so-called guardian angels for those who need them most.
So I feel part of that community, like I'm actually giving back, and it makes me feel human. Dogs just have a special thing on them that make you see life in a different way.
Joys of Living Assistance Dogs is currently funded with private donations, but those involved are hoping Oregon lawmakers will approve public funds so they can expand the partnership to even more prisons.
All right, stick with the dogs here because today is also National Therapy Dog Day. And to celebrate, Dove Lewis is sending therapy dogs to the airport. So you can check them out at the Alaska Airlines ticketing area between 10 and 11 this morning. 10 therapy dog teams will be there offering some calm to take the edge off of people's stress as they travel today. They're part of the Dove Lewis Canine Therapy Team called PACT. The program has over 100 therapy dogs altogether who spend their time bringing comfort to people in hospitals, courthouses, and senior homes. And today, they're at the airport.
So I feel like if we were to go to the airport, Rod, you'd have to schedule a little bit more time so you could spend time with the doggos.
Yeah, I believe I've been at the airport in the past when they have done that, actually. And it's great, right? I mean, you see a dog, you walk up, you pet it.
Yes, and then you're happy.
And you're happy. And then your flight's late, and then you're all ticked off all over again. Here's a look at our Wells Fargo camera this morning. Waking up to clear skies, most of us. You do have cloudiness right now, primarily up around Cannon Beach, Seaside, and Astoria. And that cloudiness should be clearing for you folks. Here's Portland. There's some low cloudiness on the rise, and we're still looking or watching low cloud trends. But so far, the clearness seems to be winning out. A little hazy down in Portland over the Capitol Building, 39. That's perfectly clear out over the Dundee Hills in wine country. That's the camera at Domain Serene Winery. So most of us are waking up to blue skies, and we'll keep that today. Warm up takes us to, well, this shows us 56 at noon and 59 at 1 o'clock. This afternoon with sunny skies, we should bounce it all the way up to around 70 in most areas. This shows you forecast temperatures at 5 p.m. The modeling overall has been as much as 2 to 3 degrees too cool for much of the days of the past week. So if you add 2 to 3 degrees, you come up with most of Kelso down Eugene getting up to around 70 today, 71 in Madras, 67 degrees in Pendleton, 50s to about 60 over at the coast. Back-to-back sunny, warm days is the messaging. Today 73, and then tomorrow, whoa, we go all the way up to 85, which would be the warmest day of the year so far for the first day of May. And then we cloud over Friday. That will hold us in the 70s. And then a little bit of rain either late Friday or not until Friday overnight and Saturday. This isn't much. It's a weak system, some scattered precipitation. Right now, Sunday starts another little dry run into the first part of next week. And that's your forecast.